do need to change this. Hey, I do need to. Hey, what he's saying is right. So what are the things about you that you felt has always led for you to be an effective, successful coach?
One is realistic goals. When I get on a call with somebody, I say, hey, like, you know, it's a consultation. I say, I have a question for you. And I was like, I want you to think about it and I want you to answer it. You know, I want you to answer it truthfully. I said, do you want to compete or do you want to be competitive? And somebody says, they're like, well, what do you mean? I say, before, usually people think and they're like, I'm like, let me explain the two people. I said, somebody who wants to compete might have lost 100 pounds, just wants to stand on there, feel amazing. Oh, I'm half naked with a bikini, girl. I feel amazing. Like, this is the best day of my life. I never thought I could have did it. You know, regardless of what I look like, I am proud, right? Somebody who wants to be competitive is like, I want to win. If I get second, I'm going to be angry. Or if I get top 3 for my first show, that's cool, but I eventually want to get my pro card. And then I eventually want to be competitive at the pro level. And I want to look like I belong up there. I want to look like I'm super competitive. Like, that's a competitive person. And I say the difference is how I treat you and what my expectation is, right? So it's like, if you want to compete, you're going to have some slight fuck ups. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's okay, Joan. Don't worry. Just get back to it, girl. You got this. You want to be competitive. I'm like, bro, there's no time for fuck ups. I don't know why you keep thinking that you're going to get to this place, but we need to get harder and we need to work on harder. So you need to realize what's in front of you, or we need to push this show back. So there's two different. So it's like being realistic, because some people just want to compete and they think they want to be competitive because they make moves like they just want to, they make moves like they want to compete. But then when they get on stage, they're like, oh, why wasn't I competitive? Because you're not acting like that. That's not, so we have to have realistic goals. And I won't treat the person like differently, but my expectation of how you move doesn't become a conflict of how I coach you, right? So it's like, if you're like, yo, coach, like, oh, man, you know, I messed up like all weekend I was doing this, I was drinking this, I was eating this, I was doing this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yo, like I said, somebody who just wants to compete, get back on it, you know, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. Somebody who's being competitive, I'm like, okay, we need to figure this shit out. Like, let's, like, what's going on? How can we get better about it? Like, it's just the expectation. Both of them I love equally, right? It's just, how do I have to love you? How do I have to love you? How do I have to communicate with you? Because I need to know. Because the person who just wants to compete is proud. I can't shatter them because I'm angry and like, nah, you shouldn't be fucking up. I can't do that. I have to still love this person, right? But the person, if I'm super like light on the person who wants to be competitive, then I'm bringing down the standard. So I can't take down their standard and I can't crush this person's ego. So it's like, how do I communicate with them? So we have to have realistic goals so we can communicate effectively, if that makes sense. So
100% it makes sense. Yeah.
So that's one thing. Realistic, and then obviously, like I said, communication with that. It's just, you know, having good communication, being upfront. Like I said, first thing I said when I got on here, I meet people right off the jump. When I actually meet them and I start realizing, they start kind of like telling on themselves. Like, oh yeah, well, I do this on low day to get me through the low day. Like I had one dude, love him to death, and he was like, on his low day, he was like, yeah, man, like I had to get through these 80 minutes of cardio. So I would have a Red Bull and I would have a banana and an apple. And I'm like, in the moment, I was like, oh, haha. Like, then I went home, I looked on his plan. I'm like, he don't have a banana and an apple and a Red Bull on his plan.
Let alone a Red Bull.
I'm just like, so then like the next day I saw him and I was just like, yo, what did you mean by that? And he was like, well, I figured if you needed me to burn 600 calories on my low day, well, because I was on my low day, I didn't have enough energy. So I ate the banana, the apple, and the Red Bull to get me through the 600 calories. And I'm like, I want to stop you right there. If you're on a low day and I want you to burn all these calories, that's for us to tap into the fat, right? But if you're on the low day and you add 600 calories, you just made us burn 600 calories. So you might as well have just not did the cardio. Like, that's the point of the low calories and the high cardio. So, and I'm just like, That's bad communication. Like, so you've been doing all this. I've been busting my ass trying to figure out, maybe we had a standstill. Maybe, we had a bad week and I'm like, all right, we gotta change the plan, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, we didn't have to change the plan. You just had to communicate better. You're doing things that I don't know. Like, you're doing things that I don't know about. This isn't like, I'm not here to judge you. Literally just tell me what's going on so we can make moves together. You know what I mean? If meal 5 isn't working and you're not eating it for 4 weeks, like, when I start adding things and changing things, it's all going to be off because now you've been lying about me for meal 5. So now you got to figure out when I add, changes to meal 4 and meal 3, like you're like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to not take out meal 5. Like, you're going to start coaching yourself. And that's the bad thing, So communication is like super big with that. Understanding like lingo, how they talk, the vibe, making sure that person is somebody like you understand.
It can get so hard to wanna wake up some days. Wish you stayed asleep, 'cause it's too much to face.